Can everyone hear me loud and clear? You may respond via chat, our dear participants. Can you hear me? All right. Good morning, Kapimilias. It's the ninth and sad to say, the final session of the Coffee Break webinar series, Breakthroughs on Research and Extension for the Advancement of Knowledge of Stakeholders. I am JP Magnawa, your moderators. Since the first session, see guys, there are still loyal people out there. As I see all of our participants. So today's discussion will tackle one of the dream businesses of us, coffee lovers. This month may be a season of giving, but also time din ng bonuses. So could be a time for savings, but who knows in the near future, right? But first, let's enjoy our fresh cup of coffee and be recharged so we can absorb every learning we'll be needing to have our dream business. And of course, bago po tayo yumaman, you may contact us first through the contact details flashed on your screens. For concerns and inquiries, reach us through our mobile number 0975-420-5789 or through our email addresses. The first one, ncrdeck@cvsu.edu.ph. The second one, ncrdeck.cvsu@gmail.com. And if it's a webinar-related concern, you may contact us directly at ncrdeck.webster@gmail.com. You may also follow us on our social media pages. At Facebook, we are NCRDeck Philippines, and on our Instagram, our newest account, we are at NCRDeckPH, so you can still be updated about our future activities. You may also subscribe to our YouTube channel, NCR Deck TV, uploaded there where the student produced documentaries on coffee from our Likha 2019 event and our previously conducted webinar sessions. Among this was the first webinar session entitled Characterization and Identification of Cultivated Coffee in the Philippines, held last July 30. The second webinar session entitled Building Up Chemistry, Investigating the Science Behind Coffee Processing, held last August 20. And our third webinar session entitled Declaration, Communicating Coffee Products Through Branding and Packaging, held last August 27. And our fourth webinar session entitled Courtship, Pursuing Viable Coffee Business Ventures, held last September 3. Well, the fifth session entitled Meet the Parents, Tracing the Roots of Philippine Coffee. The sixth session entitled Nurturing the Connection, Growing Coffee Through Various Propagation Methods. Recently, the seventh session entitled Time for Labels, Accreditation and Certification of Coffee Nurseries. And the other one, our eighth session, which was conducted last week on December 8th, entitled Mutual Understanding How Coffee Affects Your Health, led by Ms. Josefina Gonzalez of DOST FNRI, which all of them are already uploaded on our Facebook page. So if you happen to miss those, make sure to check our social media accounts. All right, that's it for our introduction, and allow me to welcome you to the 9th Coffee Break webinar session entitled Commitment, Road to Having Your Own Coffee Shop. Let's begin the session first with a prayer.
Good morning, Lord. Thank you for a new day. Thank you that your compassion is renewed every morning. Great is your faithfulness and your steadfast love, O Lord. I don't know what all is going to happen today and how much I'll get done, but you do. So I give this day to you. Fill me with your Holy Spirit, Father. Energize me for your work, because you know how tired these bones are. Awaken me to the wonder of your salvation, and quicken my spirit to the reality of your work in my life. Lord, my mind is filled with creative ideas, but they're all jumbled. Holy Spirit, come and hover over my mind like you hovered over the waters at creation, and speak order out of the chaos. Help me to cease striving and to trust that you will give me all I need today to do the work you've given me to do. You will be faithful to complete the good work you've started. And as I step out into my day, I declare your sovereignty over every area of my life. I entrust myself to you and ask that you use me however you see fit. This day is yours. My body is yours. My mind is yours. Everything I am is yours. May you be pleased with me today. Amen.
It's our 9th session and our final session. And of course, usapang commitment na po. Commitment leads to action, and action brings us closer to our dreams. Well, in this case, our dream business, our very own coffee shop. So shall we say welcome to our first day of fulfilling that dream. Before we dig too deep into that dream, here are first a few reminders. One, since the session is happening real time, technical glitches that might occur is beyond our control. We would highly appreciate your utmost understanding and patience. Two, please be informed that this webinar session is being recorded and streamed via Facebook Live. Three, a replay of this session will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, NCR TV. Questions will be entertained at the end of the lecture after a quick break. But still, you are allowed to raise your questions while the lecture discussion is ongoing. Just send them through our chat box for our Zoom meeting attendees and in the comment section for our Facebook Live audience. Our time is limited for the question and answer, so make sure to make use of that time to ask your queries to our speaker. Also, apologies to our Facebook Live viewers, but only the attendees who joined via the meeting will be provided with certificate of participation, unless, of course, conditions are favorable. Here are additional house rules for our Zoom meeting attendees. Again, we will be disabling the audio and video of the participants other than the speaker and yours truly. Please ensure that your audio and video is disabled at all times unless necessary. There will be a short break after the lecture. You may utilize the chat box to raise questions and concerns. You can also message us if you like to personally ask your question to our speaker. A direct message feature can be found in the chat box settings if you are to address your concern to a fellow attendee. Also, the certificate of participation shall be received upon submission of the evaluation form. We will be providing the link for the evaluation at the latter part of this session, so chill lang po. We will also be providing a certificate of completion to participants who were able to attend all of the 9 sessions via Zoom meeting or Cisco WebEx. We'll be sending the certificate of completion within the week. That's it for our reminders. Without further ado, allow me to introduce our speaker for today. Our speaker for today is a registered nutrition dietitian and a licensed professional teacher. He is also a fitness and sports nutrition coach and a food business consultant and a trainer. He is a marketing and food and beverage consultant at the Nature's Land Camp Resort, a resource speaker for the Business Coach Incorporated and Barista and Coffee Academy of Asia, where he serves as trainer for modern restaurant operations and management and cafe management, respectively, and has been invited as guest lecturer to several events. Our speaker also worked as college and graduate school faculty in some of the universities, such as De La Salle College of St. Benilde and Philippine Women's University, and as anthropometric dietary researcher of the Food and Nutrition Institute of the Department of Science and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our speaker for today, Mr. John Paul Buhain. Magandang araw, sir.
Good morning. Sir, I can start my video. Yeah, all right, okay. Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me again to join, to speak to you guys. I had a great time talking about Cafe Business Starter Kit last December. So it's been a year already. So for today, I was tasked to talk about commitment, your road to starting of your coffee shop. Actually, just this morning, supposedly I have a coffee management class, an online cafe management class with the Barista Coffee Academy of Asia. That was mentioned earlier by Sir JP. So I'm also JP, by the way. So I stopped it first. Sabi ko kasi I have a lecture with regards to this topic. So I've been doing some coffee consultancy or cafe consultancy for the last 2.5 years and have helped establish around 8 or 9 coffee shops. And as we know, during the pandemic, some of these coffee shops actually closed down or stopped their operations because of the pandemic, but actually some continued. So let me just share to you something that I hope would be able to encourage you to starting your own coffee shop. All right. Ayan, right, okay. Commitment, your road to having your own coffee shop. So I think that was understood already. So I'm actually the cafe trainer and a consultant for the Barista Coffee Academy of Asia, which I'll be discussing much later on what is BCAA all about. But anyway, so the question is, during this pandemic, a lot of businesses actually shut down. A lot of businesses actually closed. And one of those really which were really affected was the coffee shop industry or the cafe industry. As we know, Filipinos, we love to drink coffee, and we're not like in other countries na pag coffee kasi to go tayo or take out lang lagi or drive through. Here in the Philippines, our idea of coffee is that it's a social gathering place, and then talagang mag-aano tayo. I mean, like ako, I love drinking coffee most of the time. Every weekend, I'll be having coffee with my friends. So the question now is, ano ba yung road natin to having your own coffee shop? And I'm pretty much sure the reason why you are in this break webinar is because you have your own dream of putting up your own coffee shop. And I myself actually have a dream of putting up my own coffee shop later on, or probably by next year. So let me just share to you something. Sabi ko dito, it's all about coffee. Okay. So what do you mean by it's all about coffee? You know, I like kasi giving meaning to certain words. So let me just share to you. Actually, coffee shop pa nga ang naisip. Sabi ko, okay lang, it's too long. So I shortened it to coffee. So we look into the meaning of coffee as you start, or as you plan, or as you dream for your own coffee shop. Okay. So the question is, why are you here? Why are you here in the seminar? Probably some of you are students, some of you are faculty members. For those students, they are required to attend. For others naman, it's more of them wanting to know more about coffee. So you have other reasons, you have different reasons, you have different purposes. So the next question I would like to ask you guys is, what is your purpose? Why are you attending seminar like this? I mean, I myself during the pandemic have attended different trainings and different seminars, entrepreneurship seminars, tourism seminar, academic seminars, so on and so forth. But sorry, it should be, what is your dream? Mali typo, sorry. What is your dream? So what is your dream coffee shop? So I said here, it's the reason why you're here is because you have a dream. And that is to put up your own coffee shop. I mean, there are 9 sessions now already, and 9 sessions already. And because of these 9 sessions, I'm pretty much sure you've learned. Actually, I heard earlier about the benefits of coffee, because I also discussed the benefits of drinking coffee with BCAA. So as a nutritionist, I also know the benefits. But for this session, our topic is the dream cafe or the dream coffee shop. We have all our dream cafe and coffee shop. But the question that is lingering in our mind is that, how do we begin? Diba? Where do we start? Sabi nga dito, but the question is, where do you start? What lies ahead in the road to having your own dream cafe? You know, as a consultant, I have so many clients who were dreaming or who were planning to put up their own coffee shop this year. But because of what happened at the early part of the year, at the early quarter of the year, some of these plans were actually halted. Na stop siya. It was hindered because of this pandemic. So the question now is, what lies ahead of us in the year 2021? Now we only have a few days left before Christmas, and then before 2021 comes to an end. So what lies ahead? Why should we talk about putting up your own dream cafe when everything seems so bleak? Everything is not There's no assurance that the economy will be as good as we would like it to be. No, for example, this 2020, they were saying so many things, and then all of a sudden, boom, there was this pandemic. So it says here, let's look into the word coffee, and may this guide you to starting your own coffee shop. So, ayan, meron ako itong coffee shop picture. I have here a coffee shop picture. All right, so let's now start with discussing what's the road to having your own coffee shop. Let's begin with the letter C. So, coffee concept. Actually, originally, it was, I would like to talk about commitment. But I thought, whenever I talk about putting up your dream cafe or coffee shop, I always begin with the concept. What's your vision? What is your mission? So earlier, I was discussing to my trainee, she plans to put up a coffee shop, probably by next year in Pangasinan. And we were discussing during our consultation, the setup, the menu items, both for food and beverage, that can be included for the coffee shop. So it all begins with your concept. Okay, that's C for coffee. It all begins with the concept. So it says here, all great and successful coffee shop began with a unique concept. Why do we need to think about having a unique concept? Why? Because you have to differentiate yourself from others, from other cafe and businesses. It is important to understand that customers do not just go to a cafe to have a cup of coffee, but for the experience as well. So, what do we mean by this? You have to think as early as now, no? I'm gonna preempt myself, but let me just tell you that not just because we are in a pandemic or we don't know what's going to happen by next year, we are not going to plan anymore. I mean, I think you probably heard this. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? And I believe in that saying. As early as now, you have to begin planning. You have to think of the concept that would differentiate yourself from the rest. I'll mention later on that the coffee shop industry is actually booming. It's a booming industry. It's a growing industry. So as early as now, you have to think of what is that one thing that would differentiate you from the rest of the industry. It is important for you to understand, as I mentioned here, that people don't just go to a cafe or a coffee shop just to drink coffee, but they go there for the experience as well. I always say that cafes and coffee shops are actually a social gathering place. It's a place where we gather to socialize, to interact with our friends, with our loved ones, with our relatives, with our office mates, or with our colleagues. So we must be able to think of a coffee shop that would be able to entice and encourage them to visit us. Not just because of the coffee that we serve, but more so with the ambience. Based on my experience, if we're going to ask people what do they love about coffee, it's just the same. Although I've been promoting about the third wave coffee or manual pour over like V60, Chemex, siphoning, AeroPress, and French press, and even types of varieties of coffee. But at the end of the day, some people are not really that knowledgeable. Maybe you are here because you are really coffee enthusiasts and you know these things. But if you're looking to the bigger population, people are not really that familiar when it comes to these things. So people will go to your coffee shop not only because of the coffee and the food that you're serving, but also because of the ambience. Let me just share to you something. I was a consultant last year for a coffee shop. And the reason why people were going there, of course, aside from the fact that food is good and drink is good, but because of the concept. It was actually the first panda-themed coffee shop in the Philippines. People were going there because they like to have a picture with the big pandas that were located in the area. So something like that. you have to think of something that would be able to attract the customers. Okay, so it's a combination. It's a combination of what you serve, what's being offered, as well as the ambience of the of the coffee shop. In a time where competition is very tough, it is very important that you stand out among your competitors. Let me just share to you something. You can't just be anybody out there. You have to be somebody or someone. You cannot just be another coffee shop in the crowd or another coffee shop in the area. I mean, in Cavite, okay. I've been to Cabsu last year. In Cavite, we have lots of coffee shop because Amadeo Coffee, no? That's what Cavite is actually promoting. But more than that, you have to be somebody. You have to be someone. You cannot just be a regular coffee shop. If you just be a regular coffee shop, I'm telling you, you'll not survive. Most of the coffee shops I've handled before, they have something different that they offer. Again, it's not just about the coffee. We also have to think of what our customers are actually looking for. All right? You have to be somebody. You have to think of what makes you different. And we will learn later on how to be different. Okay? So look at this one. So I was researching at this one. Look at the different concepts. So this one, the first picture in your left, that is composed of different recycled materials for their coffee shop. And this one is what I've been trying to promote since last year, a mobile coffee shop or a coffee shop kiosk. I observed that, there's a lot of, I'm pretty much sure you've seen this all over the place. There's a lot of pop-up milk tea shops in the Philippines because milk tea is a trend right now. So I've been telling my trainees and I've been telling my people that I'm consulting with, why can't you also do that? I remember when I was still my first work was actually with Deli France. I was a manager for Deli France. It's a cafe / boulangerie. So I remember that time during Christmas season, we put up a pop-up coffee shop somewhere in Batangas, somewhere in the industrial areas in Batangas. And you can also do those things as well. Maybe you don't have the place yet, but you can do that. I was just reading last week a news article published, I think, in one of the broadsheets or in their website or Facebook, that this barista who lost his job, I'll not mention anymore from where he is, but this barista who lost his job, the pandemic was not the reason. He did not make use of the pandemic as a reason for him not to continue putting up his own dream cafe. He put up his own dream coffee shop. And where was that located? It was actually an old funeral parlor. And the concept was a Japanese-inspired coffee shop. Because when you talk about Japanese-inspired coffee shop, it's actually minimalist. You don't need to put a lot of designs. I don't know how many seating capacity does this coffee shop have, but I think it's less than 20. I have a client before. Probably you know her. She was actually an actress, not client, but a trainee for BCAA. She put up a coffee shop for her daughter, a small coffee shop. How many seating capacity? It was only 10 seating capacity. Because the idea or the trade was actually for more on to go. The target were actually students. And the theme was actually, I think, was it Bohemia or something like that? I forgot the theme already. But look at this picture. You can actually think of different concepts. What I'm trying to point out is that you have to get out of the confines of the four walls of your room. You have to be very creative. That could be another C for us, for coffee. You have to think of a very creative concept. Because if your concept is not that unique, I'm telling you, people will not go to you. Because at the end of the day, they will say, I'll just go to established coffee shop or established commercial coffee shop, wherein I am pretty much sure or I am definite that the coffee and the service is actually good. So what would be your edge? Your edge would be a different concept. you have to think of as early as now what would be your concept for your coffee shop. I said to you earlier that I am also planning to put up my own coffee shop. You know, as a consultant, that's also my dream. And as early as now, as early as around September, I've been planning already what would be the concept. Because once you plan for the concept, you're also going to plan already of the things that you would be needing. Where will you be getting your supply? Where will you be getting the kind of coffee beans that you would like to have? And we have different and good coffee beans here in the Philippines. You know, I like promoting local products. I have been promoting Sagada, Dark Roast. I have been promoting Kapeng Barako or Liberica. I'm also promoting coffee beans that we can get from Cavite, as well as the different coffee beans. Last time, I believe that was last year during the Second National Coffee Education Congress, that I was really happy to see that, you know, Sulu and Tawi Tawi coffee is now in the market because I've been promoting those things. So think of different concepts that would be able to attract your customers. Now, I am not here to give you the concept because the concept will be coming from you. All right, so that's for letter C. So it's not just about the layout and design, I said here. It's also about what you will serve to your customers. So look at this latte art. It's not just a typical latte art, right? It's not just a typical latte art. It's very colorful. I mean, if you will be serving this something like this for your coffee shops, I'm telling you, even if it's a far away place or far from my place, I definitely be going there. There's this one coffee shop, actually, it's in Cavite. If I'm not mistaken, that's in Noveleta. I like the idea of the coffee shop. It's just it's located in a house, but I like the idea of the garden. So it's very relaxing. Look at this, bubblegum coffee, cup syrup coffee, and charcoal coffee. Of course, charcoal coffee has been was a trend last year. We also not just last year, but for the last 2 years, charcoal coffee. So we also did serve that to one of my coffee shops I was handling before. But I was really happy to see this cup syrup coffee and bubblegum coffee. I'm not really sure if it uses cup syrup, but I think the flavor is something like that of a cup syrup and the bubblegum as well. So it's all about these things as well. One more thing, look at this. Look at the mug of this mug. I mean, look at it. It's a very unique concept. There's this coffee shop here in Manila. The concept is more of the laboratory. The concept is more about the laboratory. I think it's located in somewhere in UST. I'll not mention anymore the name of the coffee shop. I'm not connected with them. But I love it that some of their drinks are actually put in an Erlenmeyer flask. Erlenmeyer flask, and I forgot the other one. But the one thing that really caught my attention was that some of the drinks were actually placed in an Erlenmeyer flask. Beaker, the other one is Beaker, if I'm not mistaken. And then, what other concepts? There's this concept in, I'm not sure if they're open right now because there's no face-to-face classes, but there's this coffee shop. It started in Katipunan. Now they have a branch in Taft Avenue as well as in UST, where in the concept of the coffee shop is that it caters to the students, and the students can actually take a shower in the coffee shop. They have to just pay for a certain fee per month or per day. It's an all you can drink coffee, and they can study there in that coffee shop. That is actually a unique concept. And of course, we have the third wave. Pour over. Earlier, I was just talking to my colleagues from BCAA and Equilibrium. How much is a V60? Because I'm planning to give myself this Christmas a V60 or a small coffee machine, so I can do and brew my coffee. So you have just so many ideas that you can think of. It could be, I don't know if it could be a zoo theme. Before in Green Hills, there was this aquarium themed coffee shop. There are what we call Hello Kitty coffee shops in Japan. There's also anime team coffee shop. So you have to think of the concept as early as now if you would like to put up your own coffee someday, probably by next year. The next letter for our term is opportunities. Opportunities. So you might say, Sir JP, do we have opportunities this year? Yes, maybe this year there's not much opportunities, but next year, I'm telling you, there will be a lot of opportunities. You know why? Because the Philippines is actually a consumer-driven market. You might be asking, why is it that of all the Southeast Asian nations, the Philippines has the biggest dip when it comes to the GDP and GDP growth rate or GNP growth rate? You know why? Because we're not a manufacturing country. We're not a producing country. We are a consumer-driven country. And there are things being said that by next year, because there's already a vaccine, since people are now already going out of their houses, the consumer market will be going to increase again. Probably, according to some economists and some tycoons, are saying that around half of the year or middle of the year, this will increase already. So look for opportunities. I said here, be alert. Always be on the look on possible opportunities that may come along your way. Why is there not no letter S? Always, there should be a letter S. Always be on the look. Look for opportunities. Look at this one. I searched, the coffee industry is a booming industry. The global coffee market, which was valued at 102.15 billion in 2018, is expected to be at 155.64 billion by 2026. So they're saying that in the next 6 years, there is a booming coffee industry. And when I talk about coffee industry, it's not just about the coffee shop, but encompasses everything from the producing to the retailing. So it's a good time for us to really, really put up a coffee shop. One more thing. You know, I was just talking to someone, and she said to me, a trainee of mine in BCAA, and she said to me that she will be putting up her own coffee shop by next year. You know why? She saw the opportunity. So many coffee shops, so not just coffee shop, but so many establishments inside malls, inside commercial areas actually closed down, right? And you know that as of this moment, the value of the rent is actually very, very low. So that's an opportunity for us already to start looking for possible locations where we're going to put up our coffee shop. And according to this mall, I'll not mention anymore the mall, but it's actually a big mall. According to them, they're willing to give this place for at least for the next 2 or 3 years at the same price, at a very low price. There will be no increase, because normally after the first year, there will be an increase when it comes to the lease or the rent. So that's actually an opportunity for you guys. And even now, during the pandemic, right? So many online businesses came into the picture. You can also tap into that market. There's what we call the cloud cafe or cloud kitchen. When you say cloud kitchen, it's not actually because it's in the cloud, but because it's online. And this is one of the trends that happened during the 2020. And we believe that, you know, as consultant and people in the industry, we believe that this will also be the trend for the next years to come. Everything will be online. Everything will be digital. I mean, of course, there will be a brick and mortar, meaning the physical coffee shop. But you have to look into the different opportunities that we can have, especially if you don't have the financial capabilities. The young generation of today is willing to spend, right? It says you're willing to spend more just to have a fancy cafe drink, especially the millennials and the Gen Z. Understand that coffee shops now are social gathering places, and they are there not just to have a drink of their favorite coffee, but for the experience too. I'm also an HRM professor. I'm a university professor here in Manila. So a lot of my students would go to a coffee shop, not just to drink, but to socialize. They're very much willing to save money just to have not just to have their fancied cafe drink, but for the experience as well. Instagram worthy? Is it IG worthy? We call it. Is it IG worthy? Is it social media worthy? So look for these opportunities. Maybe you're not able to see these opportunities at this time yet because you're saying that coffee shop is for this kind of market only. But as I've mentioned, you have to go beyond the four walls of your room. You have to think out of the box. You know what? Just to give you a idea, when this pandemic started in with BCAA, someone asked me from BCAA, sir, can you conduct online classes as early as April? So I started conducting online classes for BCAA, and that birthed out to the BCAA Connect sessions. I mean, we had seminars for cold brew, for SCA. We had that. So what I'm trying to point out here is that you have to look for opportunities. You have to look for that. All right? So next, focused. Focus. No, I thought, what would be the next letter F? Focus. Why do you need to focus? Like any other business, a coffee shop will require your full attention. All right? So it will be requiring your full attention. For it to be a success, you must give your focus on it. Your coffee shop should not just be a sideline. All right, when you say sidelines, okay, I'm not just giving too much importance to that. You know, in any kind of business, you need to give your 100% for it to be successful. Starting a coffee shop will entail hard work, dedication, learning, and of course, your passion. So, the reason why some coffee shops or some cafe, or not just cafe, but some businesses do not succeed, it's because that's just on their sideline. Meaning, oh, I'm putting up just a coffee shop for additional income. Yes, that would be correct as well. It could be additional income, but here's the thing. Additional income, yet you're going to spend hundreds of thousands and pesos and even millions of pesos. Because you're going to spend so much for that, then what do you need to do? You need to invest not only your time, not only your money, but even yourself to it. You have to focus, especially if you're just starting up. For any type of business, you need to focus. Why? Because looking for suppliers, creating drinks, putting up your own structure, your own business, your own coffee shop isn't an easy thing to do. Planning is not an easy thing to do. It would be needing a lot of your time, your dedication. You will be learning. That's the reason why you're here. That's the reason why you're still here in our break webinar, on our night session. Why? Because you would like to learn, right? You'd like to learn and be successful. You know, when I put up my own online business, I said that I am not putting this online business because I need to survive. I am putting this business because I would like to thrive. You're not gonna put up your coffee shop just for you to survive, but you would be putting up your coffee shop for you to thrive. Now, 10 years from now, probably you have multiple branches of your coffee shop. Probably you'll already be that successful. You are already a cafe chain or a coffee shop chain. All right. I have so many stories to tell, but I don't have the time. I have so many stories to tell that I can share you that they started small, but where are they now? They are now coffee chains here in the country. Because, you know, you have to understand, every business started small. No business started big unless otherwise you're a multinational company. But for the MSMEs or the micro, small, medium enterprises, it all begins with small things, right? So, and you might say, I really included this one, the finances. the financial part, because this is where we're going to have a problem. The most common question I am being asked if you're going to put up a coffee shop for my trainees and those people consulting with me is, Sir JP, how much should I spend? How much will be my capital expenditure, my capex? Well, I always say that you're going to spend millions of pesos. Let me just give you a background why. A coffee machine, an espresso machine will cost you around 250 pesos for 2 groups. Then you'll have, of course, some blender. And the blender that we use in coffee shop is not just ordinary blender that you can find in the supermarket. The cheapest that I found in the market is around 10,000 pesos. But that is not yet a good quality. That's not a heavy-duty blender. So if you want to use a heavy-duty blender, because here in the Philippines, most of the coffee drinkers or most of our clients are actually the young generation. So they would like to drink the blended or the cold ones, the cold drinks. So my suggestion is always for you to buy the more expensive one, the commercial one, which will cost around 20 to 40,000 pesos. So you'll be needing around 2. So let's say you'll be having 2 blenders for 20,000 pesos. That's 40,000. That's 250,000 already for the coffee machine. Then for your grinder, the grinders, normally you'll be requiring 2 grinders. So the grinder will cost around 20,000 yung the minimum one. So additional 2. So that would be 40,000. So that's 290 plus 40,000. That's already 330. Just for the basic requirements. But of course, you'll be needing a lot of things. So I always say to them, if you have to prepare at least 1.5 to 2 million for a 20-seater, 30-seater coffee shop, there are other alternatives that you can have. Just like what I mentioned to you earlier. No, you can have what? You can have pop-up coffee shops. You can have carts. It's not just about putting up, I'd like to put up a good commercial type of coffee shop. You don't have the money. So maybe what you can do is what? You can do other things. You can look for other things. So let me just share that to you again. So although an espresso machine is quite expensive, there are a lot of other alternatives on this one. Look at this one. I have here 2 pop-up coffee shop. So at least if you don't have that millions of pesos or a lot of you don't have a financial capability, then you can actually do pop-up coffee shop or cart, mobile coffee shop. I've been promoting this idea, the kiosk type. The kiosk type, no? This is a very good idea actually. This is actually a very good idea that you can start with. Start with small things. You don't need to start big. This is I always say, because maybe we have a dream coffee shop and our idea of a coffee shop is that of a commercial coffee shop. But you can always start small. All right? So start small. So if you're going to start small, at least in this case, you won't be needing a lot of financial needs, or sorry, capital expenditure. Your capital expenditure won't be that high. So I like this idea. Coffee shop, maybe. So sir, if you don't have that financial capability of buying, let's say, a big or expensive espresso machine, you can go for a single one, a single group, or you can go, there are a lot of coffee machines out there that would only not the commercial type, but there are the what do you call this, the household coffee machines or espresso machines that will only cost you around 6,000 pesos. That will help you be able to create your cappuccino, latte, and different coffee drinks. You can start with those things. You don't need to buy the expensive one. If you are financially capable of doing that, by all means. But look at this. I love this idea. That's why I am sharing this to you. I've been promoting this since last year. Start with small ones. Coffee kiosks, mobile pop-up, or maybe during Sundays, those things, the Sunday gatherings, right? We have it here, the Sunday market. Maybe you can start doing those things. Sell it. Sell it. All right? sell those coffee, you can always start small. Let not your current financial status hinder you from planning for your dream cafe. All right. Then the next part would be educate. You have to educate yourself. What do we mean by this? That's the reason why you are here. You need to educate yourself. So it says here, while planning for your dream coffee shop, start your education, educating yourselves about coffee and coffee shop business. You may enroll in barista classes or even in cafe management classes. So this one, this one is cupping and roasting. This one I think is also in cupping and roasting. This was the seminar I conducted. This one is about latte art. So what I'm trying to point out here is that we have to start educating ourselves already as early as now. And that's a good thing. That's the reason why you're here. That's the reason why you're here in this break webinar, because you would like to know more about the business coffee. So I'm gonna promote ourselves. So we at the Barista Coffee Academy of Asia will help you in preparing and putting up your dream coffee shop with our different classes. In BCAA, Real Coffee Education continues online. So you may visit our website at coffeeschool.asia. Now, of course, I am part of BCAA. I'm gonna promote BCAA. But if you think you're not capable of attending your BCAA classes, what I am trying to point out is this: you have to educate yourself as early as now, not just about coffee, but also about management and how to put up your own coffee shop. I'm only given 1 hour to discuss, but putting up a management class would normally take around 5 days for you to have the idea. Maybe you have already some ideas with regards on how are you going to put up your business, but you still have to listen to consultants. Still have to listen to experts. You have to listen and learn from those people who have been there already. You know, I myself, I'm a consultant, but I always say, oh, I still have a mentor. And she's the one mentoring me when it comes to business. I asked her because she's already an established entrepreneur or businesswoman when it comes to the food service and hospitality industry. So I asked her a question. So do not be afraid to admit that you only know little things about management or managing or putting up a coffee shop. So I'm encouraging you, join us in our cafe management classes. What else? And lastly, I'd like to focus on this one. Enjoy exploring. Enjoy exploring. Enjoy your time exploring. Enjoy your time exploring your learning time natin. Immerse yourself in the coffee industry. Talk with the pros like coffee owners and consultants. Research. Know your strengths as a cafe business owner. Immerse yourself in the coffee industry. Talk with the pros or professionals like coffee owners and consultants. And it's very important that we also research. And more important thing is that you have to know your strength as a cafe business owner. What are your strengths? Are you good in management? Are you good in coffee making? Are you good in, you know, I have this client before somewhere in South. The husband is actually good at finances. The wife is actually good at customer service. So what they did is the wife is the one talking to customers. The wife was the one dealing with customers because she was the one good at customer service. On the other hand, the husband was actually the one good at the finances aspect or financial aspect. So he was the one managing the operations of the coffee shop. So look at your strength. What are your strengths? You can't be everything. No, you can't be everything. You have to look for what your strengths are. So knowing what your strengths are and knowing what your weaknesses are, then you will know who to hire. you will know now who to hire when it comes to putting up your coffee shop. So let's just review. What does coffee means? You have to think of your concept as early as now. Start planning. Start planning already. Then for your check for your opportunities. Check for your opportunities that you can be successful in this endeavor, in this coffee shop thing. Then focus. Focus on your planned business. Focus on your planned coffee shop. All right. And then look at your current financial status, but do not let your current financial status hinder you from planning. Start planning as early as now. Then educate yourself by enrolling in different classes. By the way, it is my recommendation that if you're going to put up your own coffee shop, you know how to make your own coffee. So you have to enroll yourselves in barista classes or coffee making classes. There's a lot, of course. We have BCAA, no? Because BCAA is actually connected with the SCA or Specialty Coffee Association. We're internationally accredited. So you have to study and learn, educate yourself, and then lastly, enjoy exploring. Explore the world of the coffee. Visit, if you can join coffee tours, if you can visit coffee farms, you may do so. That is the most important thing. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And as I end, I would like just to say cheers to the success of your planned coffee shop. And I hope you'll be able to invite me. So thank you so much for listening. This is John Paul R&D. For more questions, you can follow me in my not follow me, add me in my Facebook account, which is John Paul Buhain, JNPOL Buhain. You may ask me questions, or you may visit www.coffeeschool.asia to check out some of our classes that we are offering. We also have free classes that you may attend, and we have classes that you may attend for you to learn more about coffee. So if you have any questions, I am now open to your questions. Thank you so much for listening.
So, Sir JP have introduced or shared to us those key concepts or key considerations of how are we going to build a unique coffee shop. Again, to review. Number one is acronym siya actually, coffee. So concept, opportunities, focus, finances, education, and enjoy exploring, right? So in a nutshell, guys, in a nutshell, the word there for me is innovation. Right?
Yes.
Innovation. Because ang hirap mahuli, in this very fast-paced environment, it's not only in the businesses, right, sir? But we also have to take into consideration the issues happening in the local and international. So thank you, Mr. John Paul JP Buhain, sir, for your lecture. Putting up a coffee shop takes a lot of courage. Only one firm commitment. And for our attendees, just out of curiosity, what would you name your coffee shop? Type that in the chat box, as well as the questions of yours while I introduce you. The Coffee Beans, the Project Beans Coffee, a coffee trading company that aims to provide the market fresh and high quality coffee products, as well as to support local farmers.
Let me introduce first Project Beans Coffee. By the way, I'm Alvin Kausing, owner of Project Beans. We started the year 2017. So katulad siguro ng ibang entrepreneur dito, nag-struggle before they can start a business. But through the help ng mga different agencies, the government agencies, mga private agencies, we were able to survive. No, kasi sa business, para may honeymoon period yan na 2 years. Just like before, I put up 20 years ago, I put up a business without any guidance from any entities. No, so in less than 2 years, nag-close siya. So pagod ka na, wala ka pang kinita. But this time, I did it right after siguro during nag-work pa rin ako sa corporate world, no. So yung pinagsasabay ko. But through the guidance ng mga different government agency, DTI, sumali kami sa OTOP, DOST, kahit yung Department of Agriculture, because we have our own farm. We may farm kami rito sa Silang, so yung mga robusta coffee namin doon ang gagaling. And then yun. So one of the first product na in-introduce ni Project Beans is yung coffee na tea bag. So itong coffee na tea bag, kumbaga at that time no 2017 halos hindi ko pa siya nakikita. Actually wala pa ako nakikitang coffee na tea bag. But my concept here is really kasi katulad ko, no, I was working before, kailangan mabilisan. So minsan during meeting nagla-lunch ka, during meeting may merienda ka. So having an innovation like this, introduce namin to at 2017 until now, naging main product namin siya. So right now, because of that innovation, yung mga having your own concept na sinabi kanina ni Sir JP, we're able to sa SM department store, doon sa grocery stores nila, sa Double Dragon, sa City Mall. So we're able to have our products there. Actually, our products is already nationwide. So we're still planning to innovate, no. So meron na kaming coffee drip, coffee na tea bag. So we're still thinking of something that will entice coffee lovers to have our to have our products. Katulad ng coffee na tea bag. I know when people saw this coffee na tea bag, when they first saw this nung sumali kami sa bazaar noong 2017, yun, maraming question, unique, maraming question, ano ba yan, maglasang coffee ba yan? But yung mga feedback na nare-receive namin, okay naman siya. So tinuloy-tuloy na namin siya. So until now, this product available na siya nationwide. So hopefully by next year, we're able to add more. We're still on discussion with different big companies. So yung mga product actually namin, pag kine-create namin, may mga certain mga stories, no? So katulad yung coffee na tibag, we wanted to innovate. Katulad ko masyado kung busy at that time. So I need to have a quick coffee, no? It's still ayoko nung 3-in-1. So kung wala akong coffee maker noon, so I need to think of something na ididip ko lang, may brewed coffee na ako. So yung isa sa mga product ko naman is yung mga 250 grams na coffee ground and coffee beans. So this Robusta in the market sa ngayon, wala ko talagang makita na talagang ini-introduce nila Robusta coffee. But sa farm namin kasi sa Silang, mostly Robusta coffee nakatanim. So and then for so many years, no, I'm nakapag-asawa ako na taga Cavite, no, I'm from Manila. So for so many years during my stay nakatira kami sa Cavite, sinasabi nila Robusta parang panghalo lang sa Nescafe, ganyan-ganyan. But when I tried drinking Robusta coffee, hindi siya dapat panghalo lang eh. So masarap siya. So if you try Robusta coffee, especially yung talagang naka-beans and then just put it on your coffee maker or espresso maker, you will love Robusta coffee. That's why I in-individualize ko yung Robusta coffee. So nakita ko sa market, walang masyadong nag-i-introduce or nagse-sell ng Robusta coffee. But in Project Beans, yun yung isa sa mga vision namin to maintain yung Robusta farm, especially sa Cavite area, no. So we're by introducing yung Robusta coffee sa wide market especially. So hopefully by next year din, nasa eBay and Amazon na kami. Hopefully itong Robusta coffee may introduce din natin sa global market. So On my part, so siguro yun lang, JP, and thanks for this time to introduce Project Beans Coffee. And I hope yung mga entrepreneurs natin dito, yung mga may mga business na, no? So leverage natin yung mga yan, yung mga government agencies that can help us na mag-guide tayo. So I learned my lesson before na kanya ano lang, kumbaga nag-solo lang ako to put up a business. But this time natuto ko, before I put up a business, sabi nga ni Sir JP kanina, start small. So I started my company, no, 5,000 pesos. Ano ginawa ko sa 5,000 pesos? Bumili ako isang kilong kape. Nagpa-print ako ng label, bumili ako ng labeling. Actually, kung makikita niyo yung label, ang packaging ko before, talagang parang sa Divisoria nyo lang makikita. But through the help ng different government agencies and entities, we're able to improve yung packaging. So, yun yung takeaway ko, no? Na start small talaga. And then later on, who knows? So, like Project Beans, may infiltrate nyo rin ang SM, kultura, ang global market. And then, everyone will be a millionaire or billionaire someday. Thanks, JP.
Thank you, Sir Alvin. To move forward, sana po madami mga negosyo ang sumusuporta no, sa ating local industry. Sabi nga nila, di ba, no, what's gonna work is teamwork. No? Ang pag-angat ng industriya ng kape ay pag-angat din natin at ng lahat. And I declare, mag-mine na po tayo sa sariling kape natin. Moving on to the question and answer part of this session. I think Sir JP is already ready, right?
Yes.
Sir JP?
So ready. Throw in your
All right.
questions.
So, while waiting for team, are the questions already presented on the screens?
Hello?
Sir JP, while waiting, no, I think I have to read the one particular question coming from the Zoom. Ayan,
Sure.
ito na pala. Sorry. Ito na pala. So the earlier collected questions would be coming from Mr. Baguio from Gingoog, if I'm correct, no? Gingoog Coffee Growers Association. Sir JP, this is his question. What are the challenges in having a coffee shop? No, I think some of them were already discussed, but you know, just to review and reinforce the learning that we have shared this morning.
Yeah,
right?
so the challenges in coffee shop is first and foremost is the concept. You will start with the concept. Being innovative, getting those creative juices is actually a difficult thing to do. Because most of the time we have this notion of what a coffee shop will be like. But that is the first part of having a coffee shop. Of course, the management aspect is also what do you call this, a problem. You know what? Whenever I discuss cafe management with this AA, the concept part, sometimes they have already bright and creative concepts. But when it comes to the management part, that is the area where they mostly would be failing because they have no background at all when it comes to the management part. For example, how do you cost a product? How you're going to do your supply chain? How do you hire people? How do you do customer service? So the challenge really is mostly on the coffee shop management and operation. That's why I said earlier, you know your strength and your weaknesses. If you're not that strong when it comes to the management, then hire people who are good. Hire people who are good. If you're not really that good in making coffee, hire baristas who are good. It doesn't mean just because you will be the coffee shop owner, you will do everything. I forgot to mention, I love saying that do not work for your business, but work on your business. Let me just clarify that. Do not work for your business, but work on your business. Meaning, if you're not really that good when it comes to the management part, then don't do everything. Hire people who will be working for you or get help and educate yourself so that you will be able to learn on how to manage this. But for me, I think the greatest challenge in having a coffee shop is the management aspect, because this is the one thing that will tell us if we will be profitable, if we will be successful. Because I've seen so many coffee shops that are very creative and very innovative, but they didn't last for long because they failed to manage their coffee shop. Again, let me just say something. Do not open your coffee shop just to survive, but open your coffee shop to thrive. And can I answer the second question?
Yeah, all right. So I think, Sir JP, you have mentioned this a while ago, no? And yeah, the question will be coming from, the question goes to how to manage a coffee shop in the new normal. I think
How do
marami
we
kayong
manage
inputs
the
eh.
coffee shop in the new normal? Basically, the only difference is that we have to follow the IATF guidelines. I'm also a food safety instructor. So I've been teaching it for the last 10 years. I've been telling my students, I've been telling those people that I've been training, you have to really value and give emphasis on food safety and the safety protocols. But to my dismay, they're not following it. But I think what happened with this pandemic is right now, we are now really following the safety protocols. There's not much difference because if I'm not mistaken, for MGCQ areas, 50% already, if I'm not mistaken, can be open to the market or to our customers. The only difference is, of course, the physical distancing and how do we do marketing. That's the one thing, the one big difference between before and the new normal. Right now, we are heavily dependent on digital marketing, on digitization, social media accounts, and so on and so forth. That's how we target it. So the only difference in the new normal is that we have to follow the guidelines. There's not there's not many dine-in customers, so we have to rely already on takeout. Here in Manila, coffee shops are actually booming, surviving because of the online marketing, online selling. Let me just say it. We're not part of it. We have Grab Food, we have Lala Food, we have Food Panda. We can do that. But since Sir is in Catanduanes, based on what I've heard from Bicol area, I think it's almost normal already in those areas. It's almost normal because I have a former student. He is from Camarines Sur. He's not a coffee shop owner, but a restaurant owner. But they're now open to the market, so it's almost normal. It's just that we have to follow the physical and social distancing. Yes, the difficulty would be getting enough sales from the dine-in. So in that case, we have to get sales from the takeout and delivery. My suggestion is this: if you don't have, let's say, Food Panda yet or Grab Food in your area, maybe you can hire someone. I think in the provinces they have a lot of those habal-habal guys, right? The motorcycle guys. Maybe you can tie up with them so that they will be the one to deliver your products to them in the new normal. We'll be seeing the same trend probably until next year. According to economists, we will be going back to what we normally have by 2022 or probably at the second half of 2021. Okay?
All right. Sir, the third question. By the way, sir, pumasok lang sa isip ko, no, yung second question, especially me as a graduate student, no. Yun yung concern ko talaga eh. So, I think that's very timely na na-address natin yung ganong concerns, no? Right? And the third question would be coming from Miss Barba from Iligan City.
Wow.
What is the estimated budget to open a small-scale coffee shop, no? With regards to the finances, no?
Yes. Thank you, Miss Barba. By the way, I love Iligan. I've been there. The Maria Cristina Falls. I have been there. Anyway, estimated budget for small scale coffee shop. First and foremost, it will be highly dependent on the concept that you will be having. Now, if you're going to go to or do what I've been trying to promote for the last 2 years, which is the cafe kiosk or coffee shop kiosk and the pop-up coffee shop, you will not be spending so much. I'm looking at around probably 300 to half a million pesos. Why? Again, it's primarily because of the price of the espresso machine. There are different brands that are around 150 to 200,000. But if you cannot afford to buy that, maybe you can go to, of course, I cannot mention the brands. I don't want to promote brands, but there are brands. These are actually household, but for a small scale, you can start with that. there are brands that would only cost you for 40,000 pesos. And I think I mentioned earlier that I'm planning to buy for myself a small thing, a household espresso machine that would cost me only around 20,000 pesos. So for the machine only 20,000. Actually, there are a lot of brands wherein it's a combination already of the espresso machine, the grinder. Espresso machine and the grinder, sometimes around 50 to 80,000 pesos. But I think it's lower right now because of the pandemic. They put down the prices. So around probably you have, for a small scale, for a pop-up, you'll be needing around 300 to 500. Now, you might say, sir, that's still expensive. But let me just compare something here. Do you know that if you're going to franchise something, the kiosk type, the different food products for the kiosk type, the franchise is actually around 300 to 500,000. So why go to a franchise if you have that amount already? Put up your own small scale coffee shop. But if you want to have a building for the coffee shop plus the construction, it will cost you around 1,000,000 pesos. But I have had some clients before wherein they just use their current space, so they only cost them around probably less than half or less than even 300,000 for a small scale coffee shop, for if you have the place already. But again, I'm promoting that small scale kiosk type pop-up coffee shop. You don't need to buy an expensive coffee machine. I think that's the only thing that you have to consider. If you want to have an expensive coffee machine, then it will cost you more. But if you're just going to buy probably a second hand or a smaller version, it will cost you around probably 300 to 500,000 only.
Thank you, sir. No, that was big, I would say, right?
That's still big. But let me say something I forgot to mention. For a coffee shop, even if you're going to invest, let's say 1.8 million for our regular coffee shop, normally the return of investment, the ROI for coffee shop is around 3 years. By the third year, we already everything has been returned to you. You know why? It's all about costing. Okay, I know we're live, so the customers will know how the coffee products are being priced. But let me just use a technical term here, so that some of our customers will not be knowing it. The food cost of the coffee products is very, very low as compared to the food cost of food products. So meaning your profit margin, or the contribution margin, this is a technical term, the contribution margin for coffee products is actually higher as compared to other products. But then again, if you don't have that much, buy a 20,000 coffee machine product, start with in your backyard or in front of the house, sell cafe americano, say a cafe latte, say a cafe cappuccino. In fact, if you don't know how to start, I have a supplier here. I don't have a barista for this coffee shop. We just bought an automatic coffee shop. One button, you have a cafe latte, you have what do you call this, a cappuccino, and that only costs us around 40,000 pesos. Because at the end of the day, it's the coffee machine that will cost you much. So it's still cheaper. Do you know how much will it cost you to put up a restaurant? It will cost you around 10 million pesos. So a coffee shop is still cheaper as compared to a restaurant.
Okay. Thank you, Sir JP, for that. No, for all the
Yes.
clarifications. Na,
Yes.
at the end of the day, coffee shop is better pa rin sa restaurant.
Yes.
Although, we just have to innovate, no, given the current condition,
Yes.
the current environment that we are having right now, no, experiencing. All right. So two more questions coming from the Zoom chat that was sent privately to me, no. The first one being, Sir JP, do you have any idea for the government requirements coming from DTI, BIR for mobile coffee shop or kiosk? No, is it different from the requirements for coffee shops or cafe?
I have
any
a
ideas or
friend.
experience?
Not a friend. I have a former student. It's not a coffee shop. It's a truck business. It's a truck business. If I'm not mistaken, it's almost the same. It's almost the same, of course, but they are very much particular more when it comes to the food safety regulation. Well, now for today, we still can't do the mobile thing because of the the pandemic. We can still do the mobile thing. But the reason I mentioned that earlier is maybe after once we get back to normal, we can do that. But the regulation is still the same, but more so on the food safety and more so on the what do you call this, on the permits, and I think you just have to connect with the local government, the LGUs, on how to do that, because different LGUs will be having different ordinances or policies when it comes to that. But when you're going to, let's say, apply for permits with DTI, it's the same thing. You have the DTI, the food safety permits, the BIR thing, so on and so forth. It's the same thing, but with regards to the LGUs, you have to ask them, because sometimes LGs do not allow, mobile thing. But again, please do not start that yet now, because we are in a pandemic. We are trying to avoid, any interaction yet. But actually here in Manila, there's so many. I have a friend, another student of mine. It's a burger thingy. It's not a coffee shop, but it's a burger mobile truck, and it's almost the same thing.
All right. Sir JP, no, yun naman pala, no, parang it's almost the same for the, thanks for sharing the experience from your friend, no?
Yeah.
All right, I think we have this second question. Any views po on using coffee pods or coffee capsule for a coffee shop?
Oh, coffee pods and coffee capsules.
Yeah.
Yes. The thing about coffee capsule is it's very expensive. One capsule will cost you a lot. Based on my experience, I was actually planning to use the coffee capsule. Problem is that when I asked how much is one capsule, to my surprise, it already costs a cup of coffee or cafe americano. So that's the problem with coffee capsule, because it's really expensive. Because that's actually imported. Most of the suppliers are actually coming from other countries, so we have to buy that. Although some convenience stores are actually using that, right? The coffee capsule, because they have a lot of they do buy a lot of that. But again, I don't have any problem with the coffee capsule. My only concern is the cost, because as a consultant, I'm always after how much will it cost you. So yeah, I'm good with that, but you have to consider the cost of that. But per capsule is actually very expensive, and once you buy the machine for the coffee capsule, you also have to buy the capsule from the same supplier. You cannot buy it from other suppliers, because it will not work for their machine. That's my concern.
All right. Thank you, Sir JP, for your inputs and
Yes.
insights, no, for our dear participants across the country. No? And of course, as much as we want to continue to accommodate more questions, na ngayon ay wala naman so far, kung meron pa po kayong katanungan, nasa ating Zoom chat po ang Facebook name, ay Facebook account ni Sir JP, no? Sir, that is John Paul Buhain po, no? JAN space POL space yung surname niya po ngayon, Buhain. All right? So, let's now proceed to the next part of the session. I guess that's it for our question and answer. It's time to award the certificate of appreciation to our dear speaker. Allow me to read the content of this certificate. The Cavite State University, through the National Coffee Research, Development and Extension Center, presents this certificate of appreciation to Mr. John Paul Buhain for actively sharing his expertise as a resource speaker during the 9th segment of our own coffee shop held on December 15, 2020 via Zoom meeting. Signed, Engineer Jerry M. Castillo.
For the invitation. I hope they learned something from my short talk.
We learned a lot, sir, indeed.
Thank you.
But before we end, let us take a peek first of what happened for the past webinar sessions. I think we have an AVP. And now, it's the judgment time. Flashed on your screens. Let's take a few moments right there because our connection is a bit little. Apologies for the internet interruption. Flashed on your screens is the QR code for the evaluation of this session. We've also provided you the link in the chat box, so kindly check that out. There's no pressure here. If you cannot evaluate this time, feel free to message us through our email or Facebook Messenger, so we can send you the link. Also, make sure to check your emails to see if you have received the certificate of participation. All right, let's kindly wait. Upon the submission of the evaluation, you'll be receiving the certificate of participation, just like the one flashed on your screens. Allow me to read. The Cavite State University, through the National Coffee Research, Development and Extension Center, presents this certificate of participation to your name for attending the ninth session of the Coffee Break webinar series entitled Commitment, Road to Having Your Own Coffee Shop, held on December 15, 2020 via Zoom meeting. Signed, Engineer Jerry M. Castillo, Director of NCR, Dr. Ruel M. Mojica, VP for Research and Extension, and Dr. Hernando D. Robles, our University President. Thank you very much, our dear participants. All right, I think the group is done with the evaluation. Yes? If not, that's fine. No, we'll be staying for a while to address your concerns and assist you. Again, on behalf of the National Coffee Research, Development and Extension Center, or NCRDEC team, we would like to thank you for staying with us until the end. Una na po kaming babati ng Merry Christmas and a healthier New Year. This is not a goodbye yet for our partnership. It's just an end of a chapter. See you on 2021. Kapin Williams.